Meanwhile, the coalition against President Bola Tinubu's 2027 re-election bid is gathering momentum. The League of Northern Democrats, led by Dr. Umar Ado, has announced the decision to join the coalition after an expanded meeting in Abuja on Thursday. Ado also announced that the League will take a final decision as to whether the coalition will join an existing political party or register a new one to push the agenda on May the 30th. Also, the Senate caucus of the People's Democratic Party, led by Minority Leader Abba Moro, says the party should lead any coalition formed ahead of the 2027 general election, as it is well positioned to steer a coalition capable of strengthening democratic governance.
We encountered challenges when we assumed office in May 2023. But we have made progress by implementing difficult, long overdue, but necessary economic reforms. We have removed corruption leading. The subsidy is gone and was gone. It was gone for the good of this country. We couldn't just afford.
Let's take a closer look at this story. I'm joined by Olusesan Okunade, a chartered accountant in Lagos, Nnaemeka Obiaraeri, investment analyst, also in Lagos, as well as Mojeed Jamiu, a journalist and political commentator in Abuja. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight. First, I'll ask you each to respond to what you make of today's show at the APC National Summit. It's a show-off. That's what some people are calling it. Some say it feels like a delusional internal party memo Nigerians should never have seen. Others are calling it a symptom of absolute disconnect from reality. What do you make of it? I'll start with you, Olusesan.
Yeah, thank you very much, Adiswa. Good evening and glad to be here this morning. I look at every word that you have used to actually characterize what we heard from Mr. President, and I'm actually looking for a word to use to characterize it from my side when you hear Mr. President saying he has scored himself 100% and he has given Nigerian the best. Yes, maybe from the perspective at which he's rating himself and those things that he has put before himself to do on paper. But when we talk of reality, I'm sure there is a disconnect between Mr. President, those seated at that particular summit, and the common man on the street. And I'll give you some typical example of some of the disconnect that I will say. What are we talking about the issue of security as we speak? Just yesterday, we heard about attack. And I listened to the governor of Borno State on one of your sister stations, lamenting, and people are, crying out of the Boko Haram resurgence in some areas. I don't know the scorecard that Mr. President will actually attribute to himself, because we hear, even from the NSA on daily basis, that we have downs down the tension of insecurity. Okay. And I always refer to security as the bedrock at which every government can grow. A peaceful environment is definitely a prosperous environment. As we speak, we lack.
Before I let you go on, the statement you were referring to about the Boko Haram attacks and all was actually here on News Central, if I'm allowed to say that and just put that out there. But let me quickly bring in Nnaemeka Obiaraeri to respond to my question. The one I posed to Olusesan. Is this a delusional internal memo, or is this actually the reality on the ground? Is APC doing great?
Mr. President, I want to score the 100%, and based on his own scorecard, APC is doing absolutely excellently. Of course, you saw it when they took over power. Exchange rate was at 650. Today it's at 1,610. That is a wonderful achievement.
They said it's because of the subsidy, that there is some money somewhere paying for that. And now that it is gone, yes, the reality is here.
Yes, we know. Before remember when we were still paying subsidy 100%. Yes, at 2010 to 2014. The NNPC was remitting an average of about 3.5 billion every month in federation accounts. And the latest report say clearly that despite the role of subsidy, NNPC barely remits $500 million to $1 billion to the federation account. It's an awesome achievement. At least 3 billion has taken flight despite the role of subsidy. And it's an excellent scorecard. We still have over 20 million kids out of school. Of course, it's not the problem of Mr. President. It's at the table of the governors and local government chairman. It's an excellent scorecard. In Kebbi State just 3 days ago, 15 farmers were murdered and sacked from their community, and bandits are everywhere. I'll tell you, I'm from Okigwe in Imo State. From Monday till Thursday, nobody stepped out of Okigwe to any part of Imo State or Nigeria. I'm from Okigwe to be precise, because of the issues of certain domestic terrorists who find themselves on non-government. And there's practical absence of government in Imo State. Of course, it's not Mr. President's fault. He's doing 100%.
Your sarcasm is making me giggle right now. I'm giggling at your sarcasm. let me bring in Mojeed Jamiu to respond quickly. APC is doing great.
Yeah, the president, of course, you wouldn't expect him to score himself negative. As expected, he scored himself on a positive, and also referred to his inauguration day speech where he announced the removal of subsidy. They acknowledged that we have seen some areas that needed to be touched and polished, but I don't think it's all due, so to say. In the last 2 years, you can see that what interests most workers is the fact that the ability of governors to be able to pay salaries. I don't think any state is paying salaries any longer. In the past, we used to have some states owing as many as 10 months, 1 year salary. But I think the president has empowered some of the governors. And I think the population should, Nigerians should hold their governors very accountable. A lot of money is going to them now. Even local governments are now being empowered, especially with direct allocation. So we should hold governors and local government chairmen accountable. We shouldn't be passing all the buck at the president who sits in Abuja. The governors and the local government chairmen are closer to us. I think we should hold them accountable too, so that we can have the government closer to the grassroots rather than blaming the president. Yes, the president is supposed to provide security. We still see this lack, like Zulu pointed out, that the state is constantly under attack. We should be able to address the issue of security. And I think what we expect is for people, for the president to score himself high, as expected. So it's left for citizens to decide whether the partner the president has given himself is the real partner. We have another 3 years to take a decision on that with our ballot papers.
Right, absolutely right. And to your point about governors and local government officials being held more accountable, that's a fact that that's something we're not seeing play out very, very well in our democracy yet. APC governors and the National Assembly leadership endorsing Tinubu's second-term bid. Is this a verdict on the president's performance or just a mere survival strategy?
Everywhere is the ruling party, and he has either the governor or the president. They are normally given the right of first refusal. So it is unexpected that the 22 governors of the APC endorsed him today. The APC National Assembly caucus, the chairman of the National Assembly, that's the Senate President, and the Speaker of the House of Reps, on behalf of the APC National Assembly caucus, endorsed the President. And we have been seeing some endorsements, but it's just we are 2 years away from elections, and we're already seeing endorsements. And like the president said sarcastically today, I was referring to some people saying Nigeria could turn to a one-party state. I mean, the way they responded was that it doesn't blame those who are jumping out of a sinking ship and coming into a sailing ship, which is that of the APC. So it's actually saying that the opposition, most of the opposition parties are sinking. And so that's why people are coming into his party. So the endorsement, whether or even if all the governors endorse the president, I think, like I said earlier, the power to decide what happens next rests with the people of Nigeria, not the governors or the National Assembly caucus, who themselves are very, very sure of their fate. So I think Nigerians will decide in 2027 whether these endorsements are real, whether it is the Nigerians.
Is it too? Let me bring in Olusesan now. Is it too early to start scoring the president? I mean, internally, and endorsing him for 2027?
It's okay. Endorsing him for 2027 or for his past performance. If it has to do with his performance in the last 2 years, I think I would say 2 years is where you play a football match. It's like they have time to have assessment of what your second half will look like. And from this endorsement, what I'm saying is we might start abandoning governance and facing the political way of how 2027 will look like. To me, it's pretty too early, if you ask me. But be that it may as it has come, people should prepare themselves. Because as soon as we have endorsement here and there, you see everybody retiring back to base, and governance will lose its grip, and we concentrate more on politicking, galvanizing ourselves. A lot of people that are doing this endorsement, just like my senior colleague Mojeed said, is a survivor for themselves, in the sense that are they guaranteed that they will do? But the first thing is, let's hold on to Mr. Strategy, who understand it and can give us a leeway to say, in all the states where I have the power, at least I can give you the leeway to have a return ticket on this. But I would say that rather than concentrating on endorsement, they should give the best to the Nigerians. Our education is suffering. Mr. President meant well. He said he's going to give out loan. A lot of us criticized it and said, can we have this loan being invested in infrastructure, just like the Awolowos we claim to follow, Jakande we claim to follow. A lot of us we didn't have access to loan, but we have the basic educational infrastructure, which gave us a leeway today. I resided in Lagos. I was born and brought up in Lagos, and the privilege given to us by late Jakande gave us the opportunity today to have good education, because that was the leverage for all to say. So you can't be talking of giving out loans. So Mr. President on his part has done that, but we have not seen the dividend, because we've seen misappropriation of some of those things. Talk about removal of subsidy and giving so much to the state. How much of it have we followed through in such a way that we can see? The Supreme Court gave a verdict that the local government autonomy, 1 year after, have we seen the implementation of this, or have we seen this happening? So we have a lot of things on paper that are actually fantastic. But when it comes to the implementation, it's not speaking to the reality that is meant to actually take out people from poverty, but rather we are having more people being nosedived into poverty, and that is quite worrisome. This endorsement, as far as I'm concerned, is early, and what we will see after today with this that has happened is seeing governance losing its grip and politicking taking its place.
Absolutely. Nnaemeka, let me bring you in. You are an investment analyst. The president claims that the subsidy removed is now being channeled into things like education and infrastructure projects, etc. Do you have a sense that this current administration is doing very well with all these areas of the economy?
I am aware that basic economics, development economics states clearly that you measure good governance by looking at the basic HDI parameters, the human development indicators, access to education. What is the literacy level today compared to when Mr. President took over? How many of the kids that are out of school have we enrolled back to school? What is the basic access to healthcare? And what are the expendable incomes in the hand of average Nigerian? GDP per capita 10 years ago was about $3,000. Today is less than $800. The truth is, like somebody pointed out, nobody is holding the governors accountable. Basic education is actually within the purview of the governors and local government chairmen. For us to have literacy level up to 98%, we must go back to basics to ensure qualitative basic education. At least the first 12 years in the life of every kid is very essential and important. I want to use the opportunity to beg Mr. President, let us quit politics and do the right thing. Mr. President has been on record since 1999, an advocate of resource control, fiscal federalism, sovereign national conference, and independence and autonomy of the subnational units. These governors and the National Assembly are all busy lining up because they are not doing anything. All this endorsement you see, we endorse Mr. President. Abbas and Akpabio should go sit down and do their job. The governors should sit down and do their job. And what is that job? If Mr. President can give us restructuring of Nigeria, let me tell us the truth. Nigeria is where we are today because of the foundational issues. Nigeria was what it was in the 60s. We had productivity because we had resource control. Each of the constituent units looked inward to develop. We had 50% resources produced and controlled by the regions, 30 to the center, 20 to the federal government. We need to reduce that exclusive list from 68 to just less than 5. And then what the federal government needs to put program and policy and enforce and ensure that the law takes its course. I saw the other former governor of Kogi State who is being prosecuted by EFCC for allegedly stealing 80 billion. He was there shaking his head and moving his hand. Subsidy is gone. The optics are not right. We must do the right thing. Nobody will hold Mr. President accountable for the current state of the. Somebody mentioned he meant well. And if he truly means well, I want to believe he means well. Mr. President should give us one thing. For the remainder of the 2 years, the only infrastructure we want is for us to totally restructure Nigeria back to the 1960 constitutional framework, enshrine rotational presidency in Nigeria for the first 30 years, 5 years single term for each president, so that it can go around and we avoid these dirty policies that we play. The same thing for the governorship. Then for the legislators, 2-term maximum for any legislator, 6 years apart, 6 years per term. When we do this, overhaul the physical constitutional governance framework of Nigeria, execute electoral reform. If Mr. President does this, all right, and take us back to that foundation that was, even if he wants to take it 2041.
Well, that's quite an ask. And I'd like to say thank you, gentlemen, for joining me tonight. Nnaemeka Obiaraeri, investment analyst. I also had Olusesan Okunade, a chartered accountant. Mojeed Jamiu, journalist and political commentator, was with us earlier. He had to excuse himself.